Okay, well, let's go ahead and get rolling. Get Doug Rose joining now. So we're going to go ahead and get rolling. It's I really appreciate y'all being here. I'm wearing the T-shirt that says 1st Squadron 91st Cavalry, and that was our unit in Afghanistan. And July 27th is a very significant day for all of us during that deployment because it was the day that we had our biggest firefight ever. 2 of our soldiers were killed in action there. Staff Sergeant Ryan Fritsche and Major Tom Bostick. Stephen Church and I were actually on the same mountainside together during that operation. So it's an honor to have you here with us, Steve. And so what I'd like to do is give everybody a little sense of who Ryan Fritsche and Tom Bostick were. So we've got a couple of videos that are hot off the press I'm going to show, and then talk about why now is the most important time to support our 800 paratroopers and why they're actually entering the most dangerous part of their lives, and why your support's so vital. So with that, I'm going to begin with the video about Ryan Fritsche. From Elwood, Illinois, we'll go southeast towards Indianapolis, and Ryan Fritsche is buried in Hall, Indiana. When I think of Ryan Fritsche, I think of benevolence, because that's the word that comes to mind for me the most. Benevolence is this combination of good grace, good spirit, wanting to make everybody feel like a winner, doing what's best for each individual. And Ryan had that quality. Ryan is a staff sergeant, also in infantry. When he first came to the unit, he was our schools NCO, so the person who got people to professional schools. And this is a big deal because promotions and qualifications, all of these things are tied to getting the right schools. Our unit had just reflagged from kind of a heavy cavalry tanks to airborne. So we had to get a few hundred people to airborne school. Had to send them from Germany to Fort Benning, Georgia for airborne school, and get them back in time for training in preparation for this deployment. And this is an exceedingly difficult task, and it all fell on Ryan Fritsche's shoulders. And he did it. He managed all of that. I remember NCOs, some of our soldiers coming to me and just saying how much they appreciated all of them, because Ryan would just bend over backwards to make sure that everybody got the schools that they needed. And I would get notes from soldiers saying, I really appreciate Staff Sergeant Fritsche. He took care of me. He got me to the schools that I needed to be eligible for promotion. He got me to the schools I needed to qualify to my job. And I was very thankful. They were very thankful for that. I was very thankful because it says something about an organization when you have people who approach their jobs with benevolence, and Ryan Fritsche exemplified that. I mean, just extraordinarily well organized, cared about people, and really took pride, of course, in what he did, was very good at it. He wanted to lead a squad in combat. He wanted to be a squad leader in combat. In July of 2007, one of the NCOs in the unit, who is a squad leader, he was injured. We asked Ryan to take over that squad, and of course he did so. Soon after that, we were involved in this really big operation, and Ryan's squad was going to play a key part of that. So on July 27th of 2007, Ryan was leading his squad, in the mountains of eastern Afghanistan, and this massive firefight develops. It's bigger than anything that we'd seen to date or since then. As Ryan is leading his squad to gain a position of advantage over the enemy, he was shot and killed instantly, leaving behind his wife, Brandy, his mom, Belita. I mean, every death is devastating to a unit. Because he touched so many people were really affected by his loss.
And now about Tom Bostick.
South from Minersville to Arlington National Cemetery, and that's Tom Bostick's final resting place. When I think of Tom Bostick, I think of trustworthiness. Trustworthiness being both in your character and in your competence, and in your ability to set the example that you want other people to follow. So Tom, also one of my troop commanders. I mean, it was four of the 6 paratroopers were leaders, captains at the time, and non-commissioned officers, and it was part of our expectations as a unit that leaders set the example, and leaders are the forefront of the fight. And Tom was the same way. That's how he led. That's how he expected his soldiers to lead. He had been on multiple deployments. Tom was the best combat leader I'd ever met. Just watching him orchestrate artillery, airstrikes, the movement of his platoons in these firefights, it was just, I mean, he was just gifted. Yeah, it was like poetry. I mean, he was just so good. As a captain, as a company commander, Tom, he was the best soldier in the unit. He was tactically skilled. He had an extraordinary character, set the example. And he was able to communicate with people in ways that just made things stick. And so you remembered your conversations with Tom Bostic, because he was he could be very colorful. I just had a tremendous amount of faith, of course, in Tom, and so did his soldiers. He was loved and respected by everybody, and he was in the toughest part of our area, because I knew that they were the ones that were going to be able to handle that. And he'd been, we've been in multiple firefights up to that point, and Tom every time is just absolutely masterful. On July 27th of 2007, we were in this big firefight, biggest one we'd ever had. I'm on a mountain about 5 miles away, so I can hear Tom just orchestrating this fight, where there's probably, 200 plus insurgents, maybe more, up in the mountains, and Tom's unit is in the valley, the valley floor. This firefight goes on for about 4 or 5 hours, and Tom again is just masterful leading this fight. Then the whole valley just got quiet around, it's like 12 or 1 o'clock. And I remember talking to Tom on the radio, Bulldog 6 is Saber 6. So Bulldog 6 is his call sign, Saber 6 is mine. Bulldog 6 is Saber 6. What's the situation? And Tom, of course, gave me a great update, let me know what was going on. He had, some soldiers wounded, we'd gotten them medevaced out, and he was getting ready to continue the mission. And he starts coordinating, giving direction, orders to his units to do that. And after about an hour or so of silence, I hear this gigantic, boom that echoes down the mountain valley. And his firefight renews to even bigger intensity, greater intensity than before. And I hear a radio transmission that says the CP's been hit. The CP meant command post, which meant Tom was under direct fire. So I waited for a bit. So I don't want to bother him while he's fighting for his life, of course. And I wait for a bit, and then pick up the radio, Bulldog 6 is Saber 6. No answer. Bulldog 6 is Saber 6. No silence. Bulldog 6 is Saber 6. What I heard next, on the one hand, made me really, really proud, where his sergeants and his lieutenants are calling in air and artillery strikes and taking the fight to the enemy, just like Tom taught them how to do. On another level, I knew you can never fully prepare for a situation like that, where you feel that your only choices are, I ask somebody to sacrifice themselves, so that the rest of us can have a chance to get to a different position, to reposition and take the fight to the enemy, or do it myself. You can never fully prepare for that kind of choice, knowing that either you are going to put yourself in a situation you might not walk away from, or you're going to ask somebody else to put themselves in a situation where they may not walk away from. No way to prepare fully for that in that exact circumstance, but everything Tom did in his life prepared him for that day. And when he saw that situation in which the only way that everybody else is going to survive is if he put himself at risk. And so Tom ordered the rest of the people in his command post to reposition to a place where they can keep taking the fight to the enemy. And then Tom single-handedly counterattacked that enemy force, drew their full attention towards him. And the rest of his team was able to get to that position and then keep calling air and artillery strikes in on the enemy and taking the fight to them that day. And the rocket, or the boom that I heard was a rocket propelled grenade that killed him. Tom, for his valor, was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, which is our nation's second highest medal for valor. There are many ways to support us and to follow our progress. The easiest way is to go to our website, honorride.us, and you'll be able to see all the different ways you can support this endeavor and to follow our progress as we make our way from Spalding, Nebraska, all the way to Arlington National Cemetery.
So those are a couple of videos that we put together. I think Dan and Dara did a wonderful job. I put the website link in the chat room. The Saber Six Foundation, the ride is about supporting two groups of people. The first one is the 800 paratroopers from our unit who were deployed with us to Afghanistan. They're those 800, their families and their descendants, and Milwaukee area youth who are probably first generation youth aspiring to go to college and then to serve the public afterwards. So those are the two constituencies that we want to support. I'd like to talk a little bit about the 800 and why this time in particular is so vital for those 800 paratroopers and their families and their descendants. So these 800, so about 800 paratroopers or so in our unit in that deployment in Afghanistan, they come from all walks of life. They're men, they're women, they're from all ethnic and racial backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds. You can imagine people who, were born, to wealthy families and others middle class and others to poor families. Some have master's and bachelor's degrees, and others have high school diplomas and GEDs. They spent 15 months in combat. All of them spent 15 months in combat during that deployment. And, these were in locations where every one of our outposts was under fire, every single one of them, some more than others. And, but they were all under fire. They weren't in the massive bases where, they're sort of perfectly safe. I mean, they're remote outposts. They're pooping in barrels and peeing in tubes for 15 months and under fire during that time. Some, of course, have multiple deployments, and many of them are, or most of them are about age 35 to 45. So that's the median range of ages of our 800. Some are still in the military, but most have gotten out. Most of them are married and have kids. A lot of them are divorced. And part of the reason for that is you don't go into a situation like that and stay there for 15 months without being affected by that. I mean, I've got post-traumatic stress. And I would imagine that everybody has got some form of post-traumatic stress after a period of time like that. And they are entering the most dangerous period of their lives. And I'm going to describe why that is. Happiness, according to a number of studies, happens on a U curve. So if this is happiness, so the y-axis is happiness and the x-axis is age, and you have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Happiness, according to a number of studies, happens on a U. And let me just adjust the 60 a little bit out there. Okay. So it happens in a U, and the bottom of the U is your mid 40s. So most of our paratroopers went into combat in 2007, right about here. They're in their 20s. They are probably at the happiest times of their lives. And they are in a situation where they have this acute sense of belonging. They're in harm's way. They are with a group of people that they know, that they love, that they trust, and they have this acute and deep sense of belonging. After that deployment, or after serving in the military, they leave the military, and they come to find that they don't have that sense of belonging anymore. You have this feeling that you are alone. You are alone in a crowded place. You don't feel that sense of community. You don't feel that you are in a community in which you belong and they've got your back. Folks around you just don't understand what you've been through and what you've done. And you start to believe that the most significant and best time of your life is in the rearview mirror. And as you know, you can't go forward when you are fixated on the rearview mirror. This is part of the reason why in Afghanistan and Iraq combined, there are about 7,500 service members who were killed. Among the post 9/11 veterans, over 30,000 of them have died by suicide. 4 times the number have died by suicide than were killed in combat. And as you look at this happiness curve, where people are right now between their mid 30s and their mid 40s, they're in a danger zone. And what I want to do with this foundation, what I want to do with the Saber Six Foundation, is to let people know that, we all know and love each other because we were a part of the same unit. But you still belong to this community. You still belong to a community that's got your backs, and not only has got your backs, but we've got the financial resources to help you achieve your dreams. Because I want our 800 and their families and their descendants not to have to look in the rearview mirror, not to fixate on the rearview mirror, but to look through the windshield. And when you're looking through the windshield is when you can go forward, when you are able to create your dreams and to know that somebody's got your back to help you achieve them. And that is what the Saber Six Foundation is all about. So there are a number of ways to support us. Steve just, I don't know if you just see it in the chat. Steve Church just wrote that we had somebody died by suicide. from his company that was with us during the deployment. So I appreciate you letting me know that, Steve, and I'll talk with you. I'd like to speak more with you about that, offline. So this is, I look at this as vital, for our 800 and their families and descendants. And there are a number of ways that you can support this endeavor. First of all, I put the website in the chat, https, honorride.us. You can go there. A gift of any size, of course, that brings you joy. If this kind of cause, of supporting this kind of cause brings you joy, then, a gift of any size would be awesome. If you think this kind of cause would bring others joy, then please share it. Please share our website. I'm going to send you the recording of this. Please share this with people you think might be interested in supporting us. And then finally, we are also developing a peer-to-peer called the Saber Six Champions. So I need all the people to champion me and kick my butt for 1,700 miles as we can get. So we're putting together a peer-to-peer fundraiser called Saber Six Champions. We should have it rolled out here very, very shortly. If you are interested in being a Saber Six champion, and what that means is you'll donate, and then you'll get other people to donate. Other people, you'll bring other people on your team to donate, and then there'll be certain prizes along the way. So those will include like a Saber Six Foundation T-shirt, perhaps a Fallen Honor Ride jersey, and then we've even got we've even working on some awesome trips to Mexico, Hawaii, and Africa for people that that really bring in a lot of support. So if you are interested in being a Saber Six champion, there's no obligation here, but just send me an email, or just write down, go in the chat and just put yes, and we'll put you on the list. And then we're ready to roll it out. We'll let you know it's there. And then you can make the choice to sign up, or not sign up. So yeah, so just go ahead in the chat, hit yes. We'll keep you on the list, or send me a note. So we're at about 11:54. I'd like to just pause right now to ask for your questions. Okay, we got lots of yeses in the chat, so I appreciate that. I know we got some emails coming too. Any questions about Ryan Fritsche, Tom Bostick, or about the Saber Six Foundation and our 800?
I don't have any questions, Chris, but I just want to thank you for making the time to have this conversation today, and thank you for your leadership and all that you are doing to support the people around you from Saber Six, and for the students that will support through the Milwaukee Rotary Foundation. And you are a true steadfast leader in this, and persistent and caring and compassionate, and thank you.
Thank you, Mary. That means a lot to me. And I appreciate all of the Rotary support in making all of this happen. Chris Cummins asked how the training's coming. Training's coming really well. So as many of you know, I hadn't ridden a bicycle in 20 years. When I made the decision I wanted to do this endeavor. So that was April of 2021. So I bought a road bike, hired a cycling coach, so I could, to shorten my path to success and try to help me be successful. And I started telling people so I don't chicken out. So we are about 2 months away, less than 2 months away from Jump Street. And I did 100 miles on Memorial Day in honor of our 6 paratroopers. Felt great afterwards. And I've got some great mentors. So Kate, who's here, has been a super mentor for me. in getting me ready for this. And physically, I feel great. And the key now is just maintaining the fitness, staying in shape, and of course, staying healthy and staying safe. So thanks for your question, Chris. Any other questions? Yes, Steve, you can absolutely echo all of those different statements.
Yes, sir. If I could, I just want to take a minute to echo some of your statements about Tom Bostick in particular. I had the honor and privilege of being his soldier. The previous deployment, he came in 9 months into the deployment, and the dynamic shift and change of his leadership was indispensable and completely changed everything. We had lost some Legion Company soldiers prior to his arrival, and his ability to lead us, no more casualties, not one wounded happened after he came, and that was because of his ability to strategically and tactically to change everything in the Gombaz Valley, which was closer to the Kandahar region at the time. So I do want to echo the statement. Tom Bostick was easily the best company commander that I ever had. So as you know, I was sitting right next to you when you found out of his death, and it was hard for the Legion Company men who knew him from the previous deployment. I, for one, was very happy to know that he was deploying with me again, and was quite heartbroken at his passing in that battle. But I also want to say, for those who don't know, Colonel Kalenda, the day that the battle happened, couldn't have asked for a better leader. Composed, professional, sound mind, leading a fight from a mountaintop with a map and a radio. And I couldn't have asked for a better leader, and very honored to be next to you during that time, sir. I want to say that.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I remember it well, and it was an honor serving with you and having you at my side at that that difficult time. Thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's support here and just being on this call. I'll share the recording with everybody. And if you got any questions or want to talk about anything afterwards, then of course, I'm always happy to do that. So in the meantime, I'll let you know when we're going to do the next update, probably at the end of August. And I really appreciate your support in helping us support our 800 folks.